Hello everyone. In this video we're going to cover creating the bank control. So one of the first things I want to do is just double check that these are all working correctly. And they are. And what I want to do actually is I had originally set this up slightly incorrect. So what I'm going to show you right now is I'm going to, in order for this bank to work correctly, I'm going to select this joint and rotate, and you're going to see this is what the bank will control. Now, on this opposite joint, you'll notice when I rotate, nothing happens. So make sure you undo that. And what we're going to do is simply hold Shift and press P, and that is Edit Unparent. And now we're going to take this joint, the L reverse bank 1, hold Shift, select the next joint, and press P. Okay? So now, when I rotate this, it'll work in both directions. It was just a slight little error I made. And I have to do that to both sides. So I'm going to hold Shift and press P, or Edit Unparent. Then with this joint selected, I'm going to hold Shift, or this joint selected, excuse me, hold Shift, select this joint, and press P. And now you'll see that I have this working as well on both sides. So this is going to be called the bank. We're going to bank it left or right. Alright, so now that we've fixed that, what we're going to do is I'm going to go under my animation tab. This is the first time we're touching the animation tab. We're going to go key and set driven key. And then we're going to click set. I'm going to start with this foot, and I have to do this to both sides. And this gets a little confusing. So I'm going to load driver, and then I'll start with the outside one, and I'm going to do load driven. So the foot controls my driver, and in this case, L reverse bank 2 joint is my driven. So I'm going to highlight my controller, L ball raise, and double check my rotate. It's rotate Z. And at 0, so I'm going to try to explain this the best way I can. And we're going to go to L bank. Here we go. L bank. So on 0, I'll highlight this first. When the bank is at 0, L bank is at 0, rotate Z is also at 0. Alright, that's all we're telling it. So when this is 0, L bank is 0, this is 0. And we're going to click key. It should turn a different color. It used to turn red in previous versions, now it turns a light blue. The next thing we're going to do is on the bank, we're going to bring this higher, and I'm going to just say 50 and see what happens, and then I'm going to try this one. So when rotate Z is at 50, negative 50, I'm going to press key. So what we've done now is on my L bank, when it's at 0, it's here. And when it's at 50, it'll go past 50, but we're going to fix that in another lab. Maximum is 50. It will stop here. And we could do, you could make it a larger number, but I think 50 is a pretty good number, and you'll notice at 25 it does exactly what it should. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So the same controller is going to be the driver, but now we need to select this joint, and we're going to do load driven. It should also be rotate Z, and it is. So again, this does kind of get a little confusing, but just follow me step by step and it won't be. So L bank, when L bank equals 0, okay, our rotate Z is going to also equal 0. So L bank 1, we're going to set L bank to rotate Z at 0 and 0 and hit key. Now what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to go to negative 50. So I'm going to say when left bank equals negative 50, this is going to be positive 50. And I'm going to press key. So now I can run through the control, and you'll see that it banks left and right. So at negative 50, this joint is at positive 50. I know it's a little confusing. And I do it this way because I don't know why the outside seems like it would be 50. Positive 50 in my opinion, because X, Y, Z units. I don't know, it's just something I do. And then let me just go back. So when this L bank is at negative 50, this joint here is at positive 50. When this is at 0, both of these joints will equal 0, because we set it to be both 0. And then when this one is at L bank positive 50, this joint is at negative 50. Okay? If it makes more sense for you to set positive 50 to positive 50 on the one joint, negative 50 to negative 50 on the other joint, totally fine. This is just the way I did it this time. So I'm going to go ahead and hit close. Or no, I'm going to leave this open actually, because I'm going to do the same thing to the other foot. Now on this foot, again, we already fixed the parameters here so that the parenting goes to this joint. Now what I need to do is I need to load my driver, and I'll start on the outside again, load driven, and when my bank equals 0, this joint will also equal 0 on rotate Z. Just double check it. It is. Okay. So on R bank and rotate Z, I'm going to press key. Now, I want to make sure they're the same. Okay, so when this is at positive 50, my right foot control on the bank, this will be negative 50, and I'm going to press key. Okay, so now at 0, it should be at 0, and at positive 50, it should go out. Alright, so that one's set. Now I'm going to select my other joint, my R reverse bank 1 joint load driven. It should be rotate Z, just double check, it is. So now when this is at 0, this joint will also equal 0 on rotate Z. Okay, so I'm going to press key. And now when this joint, and you have to do it in this order, when this is at negative 50, you have to set the controller first, and then set, I think this will be positive, the joint, and then press key. Alright? And now it should work in either direction. Negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive. So you'll see it's got this cool little foot control. Okay, so now that that's all set, we are done with this particular video. I hope it wasn't too confusing, but I'm gonna just reinstate the fact that when you're first doing this, 0 will equal 0 on that joint. So this bank will equal 0 on this one and this one when it's at 0. After that, when you use the bank control, it's going to go positive, and this one will be negative. Okay? Yours might be different. You might not want yours to go all the way to 50. It's totally up to you. I think 50 is a pretty good number for this, before his ankle totally breaks. And hypothetically. And that's really all there is to it. So make sure when you're creating these controllers, the foot controller, you change the number first, then change the number on the rotate on the joint, and then press key. And then do the same thing for the other side, and just make sure that the first one is 0 equals 0. So when this is at 0, this is at 0. And when this is at 0, this is at 0. Same thing on the other side. If you have any questions, be sure to inbox me. If you're having any trouble with the parenting that I switched up really quickly, message me. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And we're going to go ahead and clean up the rig next, and we're also going to create a global control. And one final thing is, actually, when we're doing this, the foot control isn't moving the legs. Just realized. So we took care of all the foot controls. Now what we need to do is go ahead and make sure that they do. So when we move this foot control, the entire leg goes up. I almost forgot. So we're going to do modify and center pivot, and the same thing on this one. And now what we're going to do is we're going to select this outside joint, in this case L reverse bank 2. I'm going to hold shift and select my foot controller and press P, and now the entire leg should work. Okay, so again I'm going to do it to the opposite side. I'm going to select my R reverse bank, and I'm going to hold shift and select my controller and press P, and that's edit parent. And now I should be able to move this whole leg around. See? Just like so. And that's all there is to it. And now all of our feet controls should work. So the raise, the right heel raise, the pivot, the bank, the toe raise, the pivot, and that's all those controllers. And now we just have these ones, and we're going to just double check them. Okay, that works, that works, that works, and that works. And again, the toe raise works and the pivot works. So those are all of our controllers, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. As I just previously mentioned a few minutes ago, the next video we're going to create a global control which will control everything on here, and we'll also do a cleanup pass on the rig. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for the next one.